Check, baby. 1, 2, 3. Looking at you, looking at you. Are you looking at me?
Did you just make that up?
Yeah, I just made it up right now.
I loved it.
I love you.
Oh, we're so gay. We've started. This is episode.
Oh, we're on?
Yeah, we're on. We're on.
Shit.
Jen and Jess, the Black Sheep podcast. This episode, we're going to be talking about mushrooms, and more specifically, psilocybin.
So if you like to hear me talk a lot, skip this episode.
You'll have lots of input on this one because we both use mushrooms, a variety of mushrooms for different things, especially when we both went through concussions. We were using a lot of lion's mane for our brain health.
Good.
But we use a lot of mushrooms for just overall health for lots of things. And and when we go for nature hikes, we're always looking for mushrooms. And, you even pointed out turkey tail the other day that we saw. That is anti-cancerous. So mushrooms are, they are the communication centers of the earth. They are what the mycelium networks are, what communicate through the ground to communicate from all the trees to plants to pass on information. So this episode, we're going to be talking about the psilocybin mushroom, the mushrooms that, like the magic mushroom, that have been around and used for thousands of years.
I'm reading a book right now called The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross. Have you heard of it? No. Fucking fascinating. This is one of the, I think there was 11 researchers who could look at the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is one of them. And his conclusion after reading the Dead Sea Scrolls was that Christianity is completely misunderstood and that they were on psychedelics.
Isn't that the story of the Amanita muscara mushroom and the story of Santa with it? Is not that what that?
No,
That's separate.
that's not.
I'd be curious if that's in the
At
book,
least
though.
not yet anyway. I have heard of that theory.
Yeah.
I just don't like that theory because it contradicts my theory of Satan and Santa. Not that I don't like it, it's just like, I have programming too, and I get attached to things, which I need to work on, because I get attached to theories, and then I like that theory.
But it's also a theory.
But of course, everything's a theory. No one knows anything.
But you know what's interesting? The web of consciousness is where all knowledge is stored, and we all have access to it. And all information is there, and it's just a matter of can we tap into opening our mind to it. That's why actually I think mushrooms are beautiful, is because it helps us connect to that web of consciousness, the web of life.
I have to say.
Can you stand closer to your mic?
I have to say.
There you go.
That having known you pre-mushroom and post-mushroom, that I've seen a significant change.
How?
Way more insightful, more open to alternative ideas.
True.
Way more open. When I met you, I don't want to say you were an atheist because that's not true, but you were not spiritual.
I was spiritual. I was not religious. And I was more skeptical.
Yes, but your spirituality from then and now is like off the charts.
Night and day. Absolutely.
So
my spiritual was like yoga spiritual.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It was like very taught, like based spiritual, you know what I mean? And anyway, it's just being, I don't know where we're at spiritually, like difference wise, but I've always felt very spiritual, very connected to something.
You've always been very connected to God, but just understanding like what God is versus like what Catholic religion has taught you versus what spiritual journey has taught you.
Right. But I do like I do like having a partner that is spiritual. The more spiritual that she gets, I like it. Sort of.
You also laugh.
It's also uncomfortable.
Well, it makes you uncomfortable because now I'm shifting your mindset to now you have to be more open-minded and use your imagination more. I think one of the beautiful things with mushrooms is that it opens your mind. Well, that's what psychedelics means is mind. It means mind manifesting, or the Greek definition is mind and make visible or to reveal. And if we live half of our life asleep. We live half of our life in the monotonous default mode network of operations. So we don't have to think, we're just doing. And then our mind can go off to daydreaming or planning, and we're in the future, we're in the past, reflecting. But if we're using psychedelics to become conscious and aware, then we can start to shift our mindset and realize what it is that we are calling in, what we are manifesting day to day without even being aware, but now we are. So anyways, the psychedelic history is really fascinating. And this episode, this podcast, I'm speaking from my lens only on this. I have done several different trainings and I've worked a lot with mushrooms personally for my own understanding, because I think anytime we are the people that talk the talk, but we walk the walk. We have to be able to understand from our own lens how things operate in order for us to share it. And that's how we also run this podcast and how we live our life, is that we have to walk the walk.
You ever feel like so many people don't do that? They just fucking blah, blah, blah.
They'll speak all the great things.
Well, I think.
What do you do?
Nothing.
Right.
Fuckers.
I think the conversation with psilocybin is interesting because everybody that has grown up going through the teenage phase with experimenting with substances think of magic mushroom as having that bad trip and associate it with having a bad experience with weed. And cannabis and mushrooms are remarkably different, and they are completely different substances and consciousness of the spirit of the plant itself. Mushrooms are a fungus. They're part of the fungi family. Cannabis is a plant. They're very different, and so the consciousness of the plant versus the mushrooms is very different. And so the physiological effects and psychological effects are completely different as well. So the bad trip, I'm just going to say right now, that is your shadow. The bad trip is whatever we resist persists.
Okay, but wait, let's go back.
Okay.
To the bad trip. I see what you're saying, but they don't know what you're saying. Okay? So we've had lots of friends, people come and talk about this, and they're always like, "Oh, I'd love to, but I had a bad trip when I was 18 and I'll never touch them again." Like it was really bad. And the question is, what was your environment like? Who was there? How much did you have? And it's always the same story. It's always a lot of people at a party, uncontrolled environment, lots of people,
overstimulation,
loud music, and it's dangerous and it sounds awful. And I've had my own experience. And in fact, when Jen was sort of experimenting with this and reintroducing mushrooms, I was like, oh, it was a bit triggering for me because I hadn't done them in a long time because of that exact reason. But it's interesting because the setting is everything.
Yeah.
Is everything. Like some of our best nights have been the two of us alone on mushrooms.
Those are our conscious date nights, and those are where we feel so much connection. We have so much laughter. We have profound conversations, and we actually do so much healing those nights. The setting is so important because if you don't feel safe, you're going to be in survival mode while experiencing altered states of consciousness. And that is that can be a very challenging state to be stuck in. So your setting is really crucial for you have to feel safe and supported, and so that you can open yourself up, because otherwise you're in the lower parts of your chakras. You're in your root chakra, and your root chakra is the lowest one in your body, which is all around safety and security. And if you aren't safe, you can't work your way up to your consciousness, where you're going up to your third eye or your crown chakras, which is where you can go into expanding your consciousness.
Right.
So you're just operating in survival mode. Well, and while you're on mushrooms, it's exhausting. It's an exhausting place to be in. From the shadow lens, it's if you're stuck in fear during a mushroom experience, you're facing your shadow. You're facing and you're confronting your fear. It's not a bad thing. It's a necessary process. It's a necessary step, and also your healing journey, because your fear is your own illusion. You're not in danger, but you feel like you are. And so that is also that is also where your healing is going to be, because you have to confront that fear. And so whatever we don't confront will continue to persist in our life. Right.
Right.
So the history of mushrooms, because they've been around on this earth for however many years, hundreds of centuries.
I want a definitive answer, Jen. How long have they been around? I mean, we have to assume they've been around longer than us.
Well, they've been around for thousands of years. They've been
Thousands of years?
Well, no, the use goes back. The use goes back thousands of years. But
Has
mushrooms,
to be more, because civilization's 250,000.
well, if you want to go back to like the microscopic, the cellular dividing.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Well, the fungus has been here at the beginning,
That's right.
right? So it's part of the evolution of all species, the evolution of our
So
whole.
it could have been that when God created this great plane, that in his underlings, in their creation, that the mushroom is... Same with ayahuasca, same with Santa Maria, which I am enjoying right now, is placed here in preparation for, whatever else is to come. And so this is the connection, this is the way that we have to connect to God. So it's kind of makes sense, right? If you look at it from that creative perspective, that God would put on earth things that we would be able to use to connect back, to communicate.
Yes. Well, think of the mycelium networks, the mushroom network under the earth. It's where all information's passed to every plant. All the roots are connected through the mycelium networks. So all the information, so say you walk into a nature trail and somebody walks in with bad energy, the mycelium networks picks that up and sends a message to all the plants and all the trees to say, be careful, some dark energy's coming in.
That's crazy.
And
right?
so some will close up their flowers, or they'll turn away. Like they are all communicating. And so if you're taking mushrooms, you're also absorbing the communication networks. And think about our brain. We only use 10% of our brain. That other 90%, what?
Frequency, energy, vibration.
Right? Why aren't we tapping into that? Well, I believe that when we take mushrooms, we start to
Frequency, energy, vibration.
we start to build the neural pathways in the 90% of gray matter that we don't use. And so we're actually starting to expand the use of our own brain. We're opening our mind, which is what psychedelics are. They are mind altering, their mind opening. They are also the revealing. It's what reveals what's also there that we just can't see. Because again, 10% also of our vision we only see. We only see 10% of what's here with our eyes. So when we take psychedelics, we can also see more. We can see into dimensions and realms. We can also see what is also around us, but we can't see with the limited perspective that we have, and the ability for our brain to interpret that. Mushrooms help you see what's there, but you can't see with your typical eyes. You see everything come to life. You see the energy of everything. You see the consciousness of everything. Everything just becomes alive. And everything already is alive.
No, it's true. When you're, like, some of our favorite things to do is to take mushrooms and go for walks.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're outside experiencing life for the first time. Every time. Wow, look at that. Oh my God, look at that. Look at the tree. Look at the leaves. Like everything is just so amazing. It's something
Well, it's
you've
the
looked
medicine
at.
of the forest. That's what it is.
Yeah.
The
You've looked
mushrooms
at
are
it
the
a
medicine.
million times.
Yeah.
But
But then you see it. You see the miracle of it. You see the beauty, the awe. You feel more connection to it. So you're just waking up the channels that are already within you, but you don't have access to until you take the medicine. Then you can see it. That's why, like, it's the magic mushrooms come from the forest, right? So you're receiving the medicine of the forest. So that's why, like, it's really great to go for a walk in the woods
yeah.
on mushrooms, for sure. So let's talk about it from the medicine standpoint instead of the recreational standpoint, because it's been used for thousands of years. It's used in indigenous teachings around the world for years, where they'll bring mushrooms for ceremonies, and this is not anything that's new. This is not new whatsoever, and it's also it's hidden. It was used for lots of years. And then, in the 1970s, that's when it was in the highest class restriction. That was after, I think that was after the Vietnam. When was it? Yeah. So the Vietnam War.
The war on drugs, Nixon.
Yeah. Let me go through.
Not a crook.
Let me go through the history a little bit to explain that. So 1949, LSD is being researched. It's one of the classes of psychedelics. There's many different forms of psychedelics, many that are synthesized, which is LSD, MDMA, ketamine.
So synthetic?
Synthetic. But the other psychedelics that aren't synthetic, like mushrooms, ayahuasca, mescaline, DMT, 5-MeO, peyote. Like, there's lots of different medicines around the world that come from nature. And the difference, personally, the difference between the two is that the ones that come from nature carry consciousness. So they carry the spirit of the plant. The ones that are synthesized don't have that. They're dead.
Synthetic? Is it synthetic?
Synthetic? Yeah. So the difference, it's not synthesized. Am I saying it wrong? No, you're... Jamie, weigh in. What?
Synthetic.
Yeah,
It's synthetic.
She's synthesized.
Did she? I don't think so.
She did,
I did say
twice.
synthesized.
Synthetic.
It's synthetic. The process of synthesis.
No, it's synthetic.
Oh, fuck off. Okay, the synthetic psychedelics. You always have to call me out on everything I say, for fuck's sakes. The last episode, I didn't say anything weird.
You're amazing every
I also
episode.
didn't talk very much in the last episode.
That's not true. That's not true.
Okay. Anyways, the synthetic psychedelics don't carry consciousness or plant spirit.
Right.
So I personally don't feel connection to them. Whereas the plant spirits are really the essence of the medicine for me.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So 1949, LSD is being researched. The 50s and 60s, there's really from the 50s upward, they had so much research being done on all psychedelics. Tons of research on it. And so in the 50s and 60s, there's tons of peer-reviewed research, peer-reviewed studies that is showing how beneficial and how impactful these
For what? What were they?
addictions, consciousness change, like all kinds of different studies. So there was so much research that was being done in that field because it teaches us connection for oneness, connection to love. We're having...
Like, were they not treating mentally ill? Like, was that
Yeah.
not a big thing?
Yeah,
I just feel like
so-
we should touch on. I'm pretty sure that was part of.
So 1961, they actually studied recidivism. I'm not saying that right. Like the likeliness of repeating offenders. Yeah. So they studied recidivism of criminal activity. I'm not saying that right, but for fuck's sake.
Do you know the word?
Help her out. I don't know.
Honestly, if
No,
if she had
that
given
is
it to
the
me
word.
before- I know you're not.
Anyway, so it's
Do you have it written down correctly?
Yeah, you want to?
Can I see the word?
I've never been recidivism.
Recidivism?
No, that's not it.
No?
You're wrong. No. Okay, just give me back my clipboard. Yikes. Anyways, the likeliness of returning offenders.
Okay, repeating offenders.
Repeating offenders. Fuck. Went down. Okay, so that was being studied in 1961.
It's fucking
get the perspective, right?
Pretty interesting.
So then 1970, now it's the war on drugs, quote unquote drugs. Mm-hmm. The Controlled Substances Act stopped all research of psychedelics and placed psychedelics in the most restrictive category. Because it was said it was for significant concern for addiction, when we know that it actually helps addiction.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
Do you also know that this is the beginning of when the CIA started to move drugs from... So the whole point of being in Vietnam was so that they could traffic drugs back. That was the only reason. The whole Vietnam War, all the CIA did was move cocaine and heroin from Vietnam to the United States via Army planes, helicopters, etc., without any...
So addictive drugs.
Yes, the most destructive, societal, destroying drugs. At the same time, they started to bring them up from South America as well. And that's when you started to see the influx of crack, cocaine, and heroin in the inner cities in the United States. And that is basically purposely done to bring the black men out of the family, to destroy the black man, because they're seen as the strongest men in society. Okay, so they have to destroy them, which doing a pretty good job. Well, yeah. Anyways, it's when Nixon swore that he was going to stop the drugs, but that's when the U.S. brought them in.
So they wanted more control of drugs.
They just wanted to. It was all their drugs that were coming in that they were making.
Well, psychedelics were showing how healing it was for people.
Yeah.
And because they're not addictive.
Yeah.
There's also no financial incentive for government controlling or selling psychedelics because it heals people. So then you also have the increase in the pharmaceutical industry as well,
exactly.
With antidepressants, anti-anxieties, mood.
Can you imagine though? Like, guys, this isn't a conspiracy. This is real. Like, this is information that is public information about the CIA involved in these operations. You could have at the same time had drugs that would have been able to help people and brought a society up instead of having them bring in the drugs that brought societies down. Like, do people understand the weight of that? And then like you just said, to bring the pharmaceutical end in after that. So you could have just had mushrooms and LSD and MDMA, and you could have just had these synthetic and non-synthetic drugs that would have helped people in society with mental illness and addiction.
Well, remember the people that were protesting the war? There was a lot of psychedelic use for them as well, because they were seeing through it and saying, no, we don't need that. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
So year 2000, Rick Doblin, he's the founder of MAPS, which they're using, they're doing a lot of studies to get approved with the FDA. Actually, the FDA approved them to work on the legalization of psychedelics. So they are doing a lot of controlled studies with healing people with PTSD, addictions, depression, anxiety, that kind of stuff.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why is MAPS having to do all of this work to legalize these substances when Justin Trudeau made it legal for residents in British Columbia to buy any drug that they want, any time, any day. Like, I'm just curious.
Interesting.
Cocaine, crack, heroin, MDMA. No, not MDMA. My bad. That would make too much sense. Ish.
Fentanyl?
Fentanyl. Yeah.
Is that his view of harm reduction?
Yeah. Yeah, you can
The
just
harm
buy
reduction-
it. So you can just buy it
reduction
anywhere you
method?
want. Yeah.
Yeah, so safe injection sites and
Yep.
stuff like that, and you can go. What the guy that was opened up the clinic? You remember in
Yes.
BC, the guy that
Yes.
opened that clinic,
Yes.
for people to be able to access all the drugs.
Yep.
He died,
Of.
drug overdose.
Yeah. Make that make sense. Make it make sense. It's absurd, but like mushrooms that grow, like literally, I'm not going to say any, whatever. There's guys that will drive to BC, okay, once a year. This is their living. And they go to BC and they know where to go. And they fill up garbage bags full of mushrooms, bring them back to Ontario, cure them, and then sell the lot. And that's their salary for the year. That's what they do.
So if same with think of then the cannabis industry with Trudeau coming in and saying I'm going to legalize it. Now we don't support the cannabis stores because how are they getting treated? What kind of fertilizer are they using and what are they getting sprayed with? Like that it's harder on the lungs. Like I don't find that it's not organic versus you can just grow like it's a plant.
It's absurd. And I did vote for him in 2015, 16.
We learned our
for
lesson
that
the hard
exact
way.
reason. I was like, oh yeah, legalize weed. Yeah.
He got a lot of
sorry.
yeah.
So sorry. But anyway, I have to own that, but move on, right? Anyway, but that's the same thing. You're right. It's like we have to figure out how we can control it before we're going to allow people to legally do it.
Right.
That's all they care about is making sure that they can make the money off of it. And then it's fine.
And you know who's also doing a lot of research studies
Who?
along with MAPS? John Hopkins.
Interesting. I find that interesting.
Yeah. And that was in 2000. John Hopkins is also
In
doing
2000?
In 2000. 2000 it started back up as opening the door for healing because we have mental health skyrocketing.
So, another question. 23 years, almost 24 years, they've been studying this with no avail, okay? Still not legal, still not here.
They need long
But
term.
They had,
long term.
well, hold on, let me finish. They had all kinds of studies that showed that the COVID vaccinations were safe and effective. They did.
But no long term studies.
No long term, and their studies also seemed to lack something. I don't know if you've ever heard of it before, but it's data. I don't know if you've heard of this thing, data.
That's new.
Yeah, most of them were more opinion papers or papers that just omitted this again data. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get too in depth with it, but quite shocking. Anyway.
And well, remember too that in the 50s and 60s, there's tons of peer-reviewed papers, which means that there has been a number of studies that have already been done.
And those guys back then, we've watched quite a few documentaries on it, and those doctors were doing it. Like,
look, some of the course I did a psychedelics training, and all the trainers have been heavily using psychedelics in their own life, and that's also carved their path for the work that they do because it opened their mind so much that it changed their direction.
Sure.
Because it cracks people open.
Sure.
To see other possibilities.
But my point is that all of these psychiatrists that are writing scripts for people for psychotics and whatnot, they're not taking those psychotics, okay? They don't know what those drugs do to you, okay?
Long term, especially.
Well, for sure, but they have no clue. They're putting these people, mothers with kids, on these antipsychotics and like...
Well, and they deaden...
like, right? But
they deaden the nervous system.
what, antipsychotics?
Pharmaceuticals, antidepressants, anti-anxieties, mood stabilizers, antipsychotics, they deaden our nervous system. They don't solve the problem. They are a Band-Aid solution for getting somebody regulated. And if you are not addressing the root cause of why you're dysregulated, which is often trauma, emotional immaturity, like not developed emotional intelligence, a dysregulated nervous system, not feeling safe. If you are not addressing the root cause and you go 10, 20 years on a medication of deadening your nervous system, think of what that does to your spirit. You start to disconnect to your true essence of who you are. You're not connecting. You're literally walking around as a zombie. And it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate because you're losing your whole life.
Can I ask like for those people who are on like SSRIs, how long do they have to wait, or can they get off SRIs and then try psychedelics? Like what do you know, like the span they should wait, or like what?
Mushrooms in particular are similar. They work on the serotonin receptors, and so they're a natural antidepressant.
Oh, wow.
So anybody who's going off SSRIs, which are working with the serotonin receptors, I'm not a medical professional to advise on any of this, but I'll just tell you what I think. I think microdosing mushrooms helps to offset the withdrawal symptoms of reducing your SSRIs. Because getting off SSRIs is awful. You get brain zaps. You go through withdrawal, so you get the opposite effects of what you're using it for.
Yikes.
So being on there's always with all pharmaceuticals, there's always
A side effect?
side effects.
Yeah.
With psychedelics, natural psychedelics, I don't find that. I really don't find that.
Well, speaking of that, that's interesting. I remember a couple of times there was a period in my life where I had done MDMA, and waking up the next day was horrifying.
Well, you go through the opposite.
Horrifying.
Withdrawal.
Okay, horrifying. You know what? I don't like to feel uncomfortable. I don't like to feel uncomfortable. I was like, what the fuck? That's why twice I think was the limit for me, because it just the next day wasn't worth it, right? Whereas, I mean, we do mushrooms. The next day might be a little bit tired. Like I might be tired, but like I'm not like I don't feel ill. Like those other drugs make me feel like hungover. Like.
It does the opposite effect. So when you withdraw from any medication, you get the exact opposite effect of what that medication is for. MDMA is around the love, feeling love for everybody, for everything. It's just feeling the ultimate connection of love. So if you are withdrawing from MDMA, like you're going to feel like complete shit. Again, that's a synthetic. But you know what? They're also doing a lot of research with like microdosing MDMA or doing low dosing of it to help with depression. So there's purpose. I can see how there's purpose for it, but I personally wouldn't go down that path because, again, it's not natural.
Yeah, it's synthetic.
Yeah. Johnson & Johnson, interesting enough, is developing a nose spray, a psychedelic nose spray.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. So again, here's the
nose spray.
Once this is all legalized, people are going to jump on the bandwagon to ways to monetize things. Remember that.
Yes, of course.
Right.
So pharmaceutical industries, they're going to monetize it. Mostly synthetics, right?
Holy fuck.
Yeah. So for people learning about psychedelics, it's important for people to learn the difference between what is the natural spirit-based of the plant, learning and honoring, learning to treat it as medicine versus a recreational, let's get messed up kind of experience. Because essentially when you take psychedelics, whatever your intention is for that is going to be your experience. Whatever intention you set with taking any
Right.
sort of medicine is going to guide your experience.
Yeah, and if you're at a party, I guarantee you're not going to be like, okay, my experience tonight is to be super zen, gonna find that crown chakra.
Oh my God.
My frequency will be very high.
But even though synthetic, it might not be as good, do you think when it gets legalized, it will help bring the vibration of the planet up because people will be doing these types of things rather than like alcohol or like choosing other drugs? Do you think it will?
I think it's going to help expand people's consciousness regardless. So if people would choose I'd rather drink to numb versus, you know what, I'm going to take a low dose of MDMA and open my heart back up and expand myself, and work through whatever this motion that I'm struggling with is. So that you're using it as a healing modality is definitely going to be more helpful.
Yo, can you just think about what she just said though? They allow us legally to use the substance that numbs everything about us
And lowers our
and
vibration.
lowers our frequency, energy, vibration.
Spirits. They extract spirits.
So they legally let us do that. And during COVID, they legally let us specially do that. But something that grows in the forest is so bad that you will go to prison.
It's backwards.
It's just so fucked when you're actually sitting here and she says, well, it's, and you hear it. It's just like, are you guys hearing this? Like, am I the only one that's hearing this? Like, are you not fucking fed up with this bullshit where they're trying to feed you this healthcare system that's,
Sick care system.
it's the opposite? The things that would make you better, they don't want you to have access to? Like, I know about mammograms. That's something that I'm like, supposed to have already had 2 or 3 by now. And I'm like, are you retarded? Like, are people actually doing this? Like, do you know what the results of a like the most common results of a mammogram are? False positives, anxiety and fear,
Pain.
pain,
Invasion of.
Don't you get the radiation like a
radiation exposure. That's the other one. Thank you. And they do say that I'm not sure if they call it dead radiation or something, but there's a different term for it. But it's what they say, but it doesn't matter. If they wouldn't make you wear a lead vest if that was true. They wouldn't stand on the other side of a piece of fucking wall if that was true. It's not true. Any radiation exposure is negative. You shouldn't have it.
My aunt opened a medical thermography clinic when I was early high school, I think. And they would do thermal screens as an alternative for
For mammograms?
mammograms. So you put your hands in cold water, and then they do a picture to see like where with a thermograph, like if there's any where blood isn't flowing, essentially. So it's another way that you can screen that is not invasive and traumatic to your body. Also, I think if you constantly are worried that something's wrong with you, you're drawing that
That's
in.
my cousin. My cousin, who I don't talk to her anymore, but I really love her. And our whole lives, she's what do you call it? Starts with an H. Thank you, hypochondriac, and was always like sick. Always felt sick. Always kind of looked a little bit sick. Like never really looked. Like was always really so. Like in our family, if you're skinny, like if you're skinny, you're like
Healthy?
everyone,
or you look
like,
good? Or you're...
yeah, you were like, the cat's meow because everybody was fat, right? So I can always remember, my mom always, complimenting her. Oh, Michelle, you're so skinny. Oh, you're so skinny. Or like, whatever. Or, she always looked so skinny. But like, it's really like skinny fat. Right? Like just like
It's not healthy.
Anyway.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I hear she's got cancer and I feel like, and that's the second time. And I feel like I just,
our friend that down in Florida, she had she always hated her breasts, And
yeah.
she wished them away. She wished them so badly away, and she developed breast cancer in both of them and had them both removed.
Can you believe that?
So and we know that our emotions are frequency and whatever we think we become.
Can you believe that?
So, so the
Still can I have a
psychedelics are showing how they help people with. They're helping people with trauma, PTSD, like basically every mental health disorder, diagnosed disorder, right? It's actually showing that it's helping all of those things because those are all just dysregulated beings.
Personally, for me, my own experience, having been diagnosed with all of the above, diagnosed, be a victim, I have to say that, like, I don't know, after the last, I've been using, not as much as I probably should, but, well, I mean, I microdose all the time, so, I mean, I do that quite a bit, but it's 100% helpful. Like, also leaving a stressful super life in the city, and that's
Also
helpful
helpful.
too. But I honestly, like, I really do believe that the mushrooms have been super helpful. Having taken nothing else, like no other, never taken a pharmaceutical. So, and when I wasn't taking them was not, it was like night and day till now.
Paul Stamets is a well-known mushroom researcher, enthusiast, teacher, and he said that there was a study that showed that people who eat mushrooms, magic mushrooms, are generally happier people,
Interesting.
or nicer, happier. Yeah,
I 100% think that's true.
I do too.
I think I was joking with one of our friends, and if I was single, like again, I would not like go out with someone who hadn't have had like a mushroom experience.
Yeah.
I would not.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how you're saying that, though.
I'm married.
When you're not single, you're married,
I'm
and your
married.
wife is sitting in the corner knitting.
I think it was a single, a single
So I
friend.
feel
a
like,
single
I don't
friend.
know, I probably wouldn't have said
No,
that,
no.
but whatever.
She knows. Yeah.
The mushrooms create, it just opens us up. It just creates so much more expansion with how we view the world and how we view ourselves. It changes our perspective.
Totally. Like, that's what I mean when I said, like, you've changed a lot since starting to take mushrooms. Like,
Yeah.
even just being able to, like, laugh at ourselves more and just joke around and not
Yeah.
be so, like, when I first met Jen, I don't want to say she had an ego, but
Yeah. We all do.
we all do. And I certainly did, 100%.
But I struggle to be wrong. Like, is that what you mean?
Maybe. Just a little bit more like,
What are you going to say, Jess?
Is like astute the right word? Like, just like a bit more like,
Type A, which she said
Yeah.
she was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Type A.
Yeah.
Perfectionist.
Yeah. Yeah.
High
Yeah.
strung.
Whatever. Either way.
Well,
She was beautiful then. She's beautiful now.
well, Jen, Jess has said what you were like pre and post. Like, do you have
Jess?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, have you noticed a difference in me?
Yeah, you're also way more open-minded and way calmer. Like
This is calm, and this is open. No, I'm just kidding.
You should see
very
her on
calm.
higher doses.
Very calm.
She goes actually way more quiet and introspective.
It's about the only time that I'm quiet. So I do
Yeah.
like it for that because I do
Love internal work.
totally, and I do feel like a lot of the time, like most people that are introverted extroverts, that's me. I'm totally an introverted extrovert. Like when I'm out and I'm around, I feel like I have to be on all the time, right? Yeah, and then I do that, and then I'm just like
Done.
I
Get
need
out.
to be.
Yeah.
So I'm the ghoster. Like I show up, I make everybody laugh, and then everyone might be like, well, I don't know if anybody would notice, but they might be like, where's Jess? Just gone. Like, I'm out. Just have to go. But I feel like that. I do feel like I'm way calmer.
You are able to respond to things in a new and healthier way. And that's what mushrooms the wonderful thing with mushrooms can do for our brain is that we're not going into the primitive reptilian part of our brain where it's very reactive and it's survivalistic. We're actually able to utilize the other, again, 90% of our brain, that gray matter, where we are starting to build new neural pathways to think differently, to respond to things differently, to have different perspective and insight. And so we can break those old patterns of reactions and that default mode network. We are actually moving out of the default mode network, which is that the part of our brain that is constantly shuffling into the subconscious. So we don't have to think about things, we just do. It's just reactive.
Right.
So we can disrupt the default mode network and start to think of things from a different angle, different perspective, so that we are not responding or reacting to the old ways.
That's right.
We can think about things from a new lens, and then so now our emotions start to shift, and then from there our behavior starts to change. So it's a psychological, it's an emotional, it's a physiological, physical, spiritual shift. It's impacting us on all the different levels.
100%.
But it is hard going through that shift and wanting the people like that's in your circle, life, family to also feel that. Like, can you give any tips on how to
manage that? Or?
How to convince everybody around you to go on mushrooms?
Yeah, basically.
Well, essentially, it always goes back to you, right? So if I'm doing my own trauma healing, my own inner work, my own healing stuff, and I'm going back to hang out with my family, and they're just continuing to do their traditional ways of being, I show up differently, and I disrupt the family patterns, the dynamics that have been playing out forever, and I choose actively to respond differently to them. Then that changes the back and forth. So my parents now have to respond differently to me because I'm no longer staying caught in that cycle with them. So, I mean, we can't get people to do things that they don't want to do. We can only learn to respond to things differently. And that's where our inner work is. Mushrooms help us also break those patterns with family connections because they are so deeply ingrained. Those attachment patterns are from being born.
So I think what you're saying is that when you start using mushrooms and doing your own work, you look different. You are different. You show up different. They see that, and either it shifts everything, and you're hoping that they'll be like, I want to try mushrooms too. Look at her.
I would hope so. Like, I know for myself, when I have spent time with my family when we were going through a rough patch, I would microdose when being around them so that I would work through my triggers in a new way on the spot.
Macrodose.
Yes. We've come a long way. Mushrooms have helped dramatically, though, for sure.
Even my dad takes mushrooms when he comes here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And he's 74.
4 or 5.
Yeah. And he'll be singing out in the garden with us on mushrooms.
We tell him, like, at first we told him it was, like, just a mushroom, like, for brain health and stuff like that.
He knew what he was taking, but also because it's just a low dose, he also knew that he wasn't going to be microdosing. I'll just explain the difference. Microdosing is a low dose, like a very small amount that you get the medicinal benefits of the mushroom, but you don't get like the high. You don't feel woozy. You don't feel out of it. You just feel more uplifted. You feel a little bit lighter. You feel a little bit clearer in the mind. You feel maybe just a little bit happier, a little bit.
This is where I feel like I've changed. If I've taken a microdose and I'm doing my regular day and I'm sitting at the table doing homeschool and something happens, I'm no longer fly off the handle, Jess. I'm like, dude, come on. And like, we can laugh and be like, let's go and get the show back on the road without having to have this, kind of dramatic Italian outburst.
It's been really helpful for parenting, while being triggered. Significantly helpful for that, because you are not like, when you're parenting, you have to be able to stay rational and calm for the child because you are trying to help regulate them. But if you're dysregulated, you're going to dysregulate them, and then they don't feel safe. And then you're just being reactive, explosive, yelling, whatever.
And then guess what they do?
The same thing.
To
They learn the same patterns. And then you get triggered again because they're your freaking mirror. So microdosing with parenting and learning to move through your triggers differently while parenting, phenomenal for that kind of change. Really helpful. So the impacts, I'll just say, with psychedelics, they can create that mystical experience where you feel this sense of oneness, which we are all connected already, but we feel separate because of our ego. So when we take psychedelics, we can feel and see and experience what is oneness. Now we can wrap our head. Now we have that understanding. We get it. And so then we also start to understand how we impact each other. When we are negative, when we harm someone, we see that because it harms us too, because we're connected. It creates this heightened state of awareness. Like we become so conscious, we become so aware of everything that it's almost exhausting if you're not used to it. If you're used to watching TV, zoning out, drinking, eating your feelings, scrolling on your phone for hours on end, if you're not actively already trying to get yourself well and better yourself, it can be a bit overwhelming at first because you're so hyper aware of everything. You're so conscious that some people will say, I can't handle it anymore. It's too much. I need to turn off. Because you got to remember, majority of people live half of their waking life asleep.
Like, you mean just in like the mundane?
Yeah, like not paying
Not
attention.
paying
They're
attention.
just like zoned out doing the the routine, right? You're not thinking, you're not aware, your mind's drifting forward and back.
You ever
It's in the
driven?
days.
You ever
In the
driven somewhere and not knowing how you got there?
Yeah.
Like been
That's
like,
it right there. Yeah.
That's fucked.
Yeah. I used to do that when I worked for CAS. I would get to work and be like, I don't remember how I got here today. Because I was in default mode network.
That's fucking crazy.
So think about everybody who does like that 9 to 5
Robots,
going
literally.
back and forth, routine. You're operating majority of your day in your default mode network. So taking psilocybin awakens you to life again and brings you fully into consciousness and awareness. And you're so incredibly mindful of everything that it can also be really overwhelming for somebody who's not used to practicing any sort of mindfulness or self-awareness. That it's like, okay, I need to shut off. I need to numb this out now. So I'm starting off with any kind of healing journey starts with not with medicines like this. I would say it starts with like psychotherapy. It starts with getting yourself well first, because you have to become aware of yourself. And if you jump right into psychedelics, it can be shocking. It can be too much. It can be too overwhelming.
Right.
Oh, there are risks though that if you are, it can create a manic or hypomanic, which is like depressed. It's like your extremes of your mood can be hyperarousal or hypoarousal. So that high state or that low state. So the mystical experience can lead to the manic state because you can feel like God. And if you're interpreting it through, say, like a narcissistic framework, you're interpreting that information not through the lens of love and understanding and wisdom and self-awareness. You're interpreting it through disconnected self, that narcissistic self, which is that disconnected self here, and looking at it from a different lens. So that's why it's not for everybody, and definitely not for anybody who hasn't started doing their own shadow work, learning how to heal their trauma and to just get well overall. So that's just a kind of a sidebar, because there are some people that this isn't good for. Basically, in the spiritual world, like in the shamanic world, if you are called to a certain medicine, it's because you're ready for that.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So if you don't feel any desire or attraction to something, it's because it's not going to fit your aura. It's not going to fit with your energy.
And that's probably why when you asked earlier about, like, when are my parents going to notice how good mushrooms are? Right? Like,
They might not ever, like,
even
if
if
they're not
like
ready.
you're doing really well, they're not called to it then.
But the cool thing is when you do your own healing work and you respond to them differently, it does have that ripple effect, right? And I see that within my own family. And we see that with parenting
for sure.
too.
I see that too.
Yeah.
With your parents, for sure.
Okay, so I didn't explain the microdosing. So microdosing is like 50 milligrams to 500 milligrams in that range. So it's minuscule. It's just a little bit. Even 500 is a lot for a lot of people. But usually people start with around 50, 100 milligrams. And then medium dosing, low dosing to medium dosing is from that 500 to 1.5 grams. And then up from that 1.5 up is like a macro dose. So it's a heavy dose where you're going to have that that mystical experience. You can have that ego death experience. You can have kind of that euphoric, floating, traveling into different lives, having different visions, seeing different kind of mystical things. Essentially, when you're in those higher frequencies, you're going into different realms, different dimensions. You're actually traveling into higher dimensions. Now, I think just remember that we operate here in this world in 3D, which is time linear. And when you are on psychedelics, you're going into higher dimensions. So definitely 4D, 5D, 6D. And if you're doing it on a portal or a full moon, you can go even higher. But 60 is like having that sense of oneness, the connection with the earth, recognizing how everything is connected and feeling that joy and the celebration and awe, just like love, profound love for everything. That's also why it's so helpful, because if we aren't growing and healing without our heart opening up, leading from our heart, that's when we can have disconnection. Dolores Cannon, in her book, she talked about that with one of her clients that for hypnosis. He said that previous human civilization didn't survive because AI was advancing faster than the heart was advancing. And so that led to the destruction of that race.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I do think psychedelics can do profound changes on us as humans from a medicine standpoint. Stamets protocol, the Paul Stamets, he has a protocol for microdosing, 5 days on, 2 days off. There's other protocols you can do for microdosing. Basically, you just don't want to take it every day, because your body builds tolerance, so you don't want to. And then there's the hero's dose, which is, I've heard, anywhere from 5 grams to 10 grams in the dark. So journeying, if you've ever heard of a mushroom journey, or like ayahuasca and stuff like that, certain medicines, you take out the external world and you close your eyes. You have an eye cover on. This is what they do at MAPS as well, is that the person lays on the bed. There's calm music played. MAPS, the clinical route is with 2 therapists with a clipboard and paper, and they're sitting there quietly letting the person go through the process. In the spiritual shamanic realm, it's more of there's an altar, there's prayer, there's singing and music and blessings. And so it looks very different, but both people that are going through the journey have their eyes closed and are listening to music. That's the one commonality. And that is because when we have our eyes closed, we open up our mind's eye, our third eye, and we can start to see the world from a different lens. And we take out the external world, which can be a distraction. We can look at things and wonder about things, which means we're not looking at inside. And then the music is frequency. Music is very healing frequency. Music is medicine for us. It's medicine for our soul. And in shamanic healing, they do a lot of like drumming and singing and praying. And that's what carries the person through the psychedelic experience. So interesting, different kind of concepts of the clinical route versus the spiritual route. I'm more of the fan of the spiritual route, but they both have their benefits.
Well, having done both, no, that's not true. I haven't done both, but I've haven't sat at MAPS and done a clinical experience. But having been through a shamanic journey, like, you know, and having like just experimented in a safe place at home versus in an unsafe environment at a high dose, it does make a big difference.
Yes.
And I would rather have, like, here it's cool because there's always drums and, like, rattles and stuff. And, you know, we can play instruments and it's totally different than being at a house party or, like, I don't know, man, at a concert. Like, I know people that take big doses and go to a concert. And it's like, what? Like, I don't get that at all.
That is so overwhelming.
But if that's your thing, like, whatever. I mean, whatever, man. But
anyways, I think mushrooms. I think they'll change the world. I think they they're amazing, and they carry the spirit of the child. Like there's like that playfulness, that joyful curiosity. That's the spirit. Like again, all plants carry a different kind of spirit, and mushrooms carry the spirit of the child, which is very uplifting and playful. So that's also why I think they're so helpful, is that it helps people ignite that that joyful playfulness again within them. You know, adults have lost that so much in like that mundane default mode, responsibilities, go here, do this, right? Life, that they've disconnected from that that sense of play.
If people want to research more, search more, do you have any like good like recommendations on other podcasts or books or anything that you've found helpful?
Follow Paul Stamets on Instagram. He's always posting so much wonderful things about mushrooms. Actually, funny thing, he also posted a little while back a new species of psilocybin that's been growing. And you have to remember that the earth is responding to us because we are the earth ourselves. We are made up of the same elements of the earth. And so the earth always produces the plants that our bodies require to heal. So if we're going through a heavy respiratory illness phase as earth, as humans, the earth will create more mullein, which is a respiratory herb. So consider then this magic mushroom that's a new variety that's being grown, is also to help expand consciousness. So that means that we're also ready to expand our consciousness. It's also now matching our vibration.
that's pretty cool.
Right? There's a lot of podcasts. There's so much research out there now. I don't know. Google it. Put it in.
Okay, Roseanne.
That's what I do. Yeah. And also try it, learn. Like that's the best way to learn about it. Is just do your research. If you feel called, learn about it. Experience it.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you have a marriage that's failing,
Honestly,
get some fucking mushrooms.
Couples work on mushrooms.
Get a good like 1.5 2 grams India, and
You can work through hard conversations to
Totally.
break that fight cycle that you get caught in. Yeah.
yeah, start working on shit on mushrooms, not on alcohol.
No hard conversations on alcohol. But mushrooms will help you break those patterns for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
We're good? That was about an hour? All right. Well, thanks for listening.
Peace out, rabbit.